This is the Sony a7S III. Now, I know it looks super big and intimidating like this. This is how I rig it out for when I'm shooting films, when I'm shooting commercials, anything that I'm shooting. The a7S III is kind of my main go-to camera, and this is pretty much the rig I always have on it. This rig is really meant to be very practical. I know it looks big and exciting, but every part of this does have a purpose. There's not really any part of this that is just for show other than maybe the matte box, if we're being completely honest, because I don't really use the matte box. But we'll talk about all of that in this video and what the purpose of all this is. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So I've got all the pieces broken down here. The S3 probably looks a little bit more like how you're used to seeing it. And I've got links to all of this equipment down in the description below. Everything I'm going to talk about in this video is going to be in the description below. You can go check it out. There'll be links to it on Amazon or B&H or Sweetwater or wherever I recommend you buy it from. And in this video, this is going to be kind of a laid back video. Normally my videos, you know, they have a lot of quick cuts and, you know, graphics and whatnot. This video is going to be pretty laid back, a little bit editing, very light editing, and it's just going to be kind of sit down with me and build out this camera rig, and we're just going to talk filmmaking and some camera equipment. So it's going to be a fun time. So the first thing that I do, I take the S3 and I put it in the camera cage. So this is the small rig camera cage. It's a full cage. And if you're not familiar with, I'm gonna kind of talk through this video assuming that you're not super familiar with camera rigs and rigging you know, equipment. You might be, and you might just be interested in the a7S III, but I'm gonna approach this as though you're just a complete beginner that doesn't know anything, you know, has never rigged a camera out before. And these camera cages just screw in at the bottom just with the normal like tripod thread. And basically it gives you a bunch more mounting points on the camera, kind of all around the camera, that you can use to mount things to it and mount all of the rest of this onto it. So once we got that on, we're gonna go ahead and put some handles on it. So we got a top handle here. This is a really cheap Magic Rig top handle, just something that I found on Amazon. Definitely not the nicest handle ever, but handle gets the job done. The main thing that I use a top handle for is just carrying the camera. Honestly, it's pretty rare that I actually use that while I'm shooting. And then somewhere here, I've got the side handle, and we'll throw that on the opposite side of the grip. So that'll give me 2 points of contact if I need to run it like that. So those, again, just screw into the side holes there. I'm a really big fan of this specific side handle. It feels really good in the hands, and it kind of curves out away from the camera, like forward of the camera, so it doesn't interfere at all with the articulating screen, which is pretty fantastic. And then it also has, as most handles do, a Allen key in the bottom that you can use to tighten it on, and then also just you know, use an Allen key for whatever you need an Allen key on set. So we'll use this quite a bit throughout the whole process of building this rig out. So we've got the side handles on it. Next step is we're gonna go ahead and put some mounting pieces on the bottom of the camera. So we'll start with basically what we're gonna do. Our main tripod mounting plate is this guy. So we could just mount this straight to the bottom of the camera, but if we did that, it would be very hard to get the rest of this put onto the camera. So what we're gonna do is attach a rail system to the bottom of the camera. So this will make a lot more sense what I'm gonna do with this here in a minute, but we have to attach this piece that threads these rods into it, and then we'll be able to attach a bunch more things to these rods. So this is the next thing that has to go on the camera. Dang it. So we're gonna have the mounting plate, and then on top of that, we're gonna have the rail system where we mount the actual, the rods. And then on top of that, we're gonna have another mounting plate. So I've got that right here that we're gonna attach on top of the rods. And then, well, that's not a mounting plate, but that's the mounting port. I don't even know what that's called. Then we're gonna have another mounting plate that goes on top of that one and slides in there, and that's what's gonna be attached to the camera. So this little configuration here, we've got mounting plate attached to the rail system, which is attached to the mounting plate that'll actually go into the tripod. The reason for doing that, one, it gives me a little more height off the rails, which is appreciated, but really the main reason for having this second mounting plate in here is so that I can remove the camera from the rail system and the whole rest of the rig if I need to get into the actual camera for any reason. I also sometimes will just pull like this part of the camera off of the rail system sometimes, just to be shooting with a smaller rig, because sometimes obviously a big camera rig like that is not, you know, practical. So sometimes you need a smaller rig, and that way I can just slide the small rig off of the big rig and be good to go and ready to shoot. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and attach all of this stuff together, and just with the various little mounting screws that come with it, and then we'll go on with the next step of the process here. All right, so now we've got this little monstrosity of a contraption built, and we can just slide our a7S III right on top of it, right like that, and lock it into the mounting plate there. And now we're good to go to start attaching the rail system to this bad boy. So I've got these rods, I think they're about 15 centimeters long, something like that, a little bit over a foot, and they're just gonna thread right into there like that. I'm gonna make sure that they're somewhat even. For this rig, I have a little bit farther behind them than I have in front of them. And we'll go ahead and lock those in there. And we might adjust where those are falling just a little bit here in a minute. But the next thing that we'll go ahead and put on is the V-mount plate. So I do power this through V-mount battery. Now this V-mount battery, it's a 14.8 watt, or this is a 14.8 volt battery, super high capacity battery. This camera literally, or this battery literally will power this camera for like a couple of days. Like I can shoot like 2 days straight, never swap the battery, like full days, like 12 to 14 hour shoots, 2 days in a row, and never swap this battery on this camera, because it's just super high capacity and way overkill for this, but it's just, honestly, it's super nice to just never have to think about your battery. So I do have 2 of these in case I ever needed another one, but, and I do use these for lights and other things as well, but the main use for them is my S3 here. So I've got a mounting plate here, a V-mount plate, and this is like the cheapest V-mount plate you can find, honestly. It does not power, like there's no like USB ports or anything like that on here. It literally is just a V-mount that holds the battery. So we'll hold off on actually attaching the battery to it yet. But we've got our rail mount attachment. So this is what's actually going to thread onto our rail system there. So this guy we will attach to the bottom of our V-mount plate. Just attach it right on like this. So now we've got that attached, and you'll see I would have taken this off, except for my bolt is stripped and I don't want to make it worse, so I didn't take this off. But I've got another mounting plate holder thing there that can take another mounting plate that we're going to use to attach our audio recorder here in a second. So on one side we're going to have our V-mount battery, and on the other side our audio recorder, but we'll get to that in just a second. Just go ahead and slide that onto there, right like that. And we do want to make sure this door is open, because once everything gets put on here, you won't be able to open that door anymore. Slide it on a little farther than I think we'll need to, and then slide that guy onto there. And that is our V-mount battery. You can see it's shifting back a little bit. We'll fix that up a little bit here in a second, but let's go ahead and take a look at our audio recorder. We just have a 1/8 thread on the back of that, and our mounting plate here that will thread into it. And this is just so that we can power our XLRs. If we have a boom mic, you know, whatever microphone, basically, we're just gonna port straight into this guy. Obviously more expensive cameras, the FX6, the even FX3, you get the top handle for it, and you're gonna get to port your XLRs and that kind of stuff directly into the camera. You don't get that with the a7S III. You definitely do not get that with the a7S III. But nonetheless, we can still kind of jimmy rig our rig here together and make something that works still pretty nice for us. And then in there, right like that. And that's our audio recorder. So now we can start attaching like microphones and things like that. So this is the Rode VideoMic Pro that I'm just gonna slide right onto the top handle there. Take a 1/8 wire. And this one's actually gonna go directly into the camera. This kind of just gives us a little higher quality scratch track. If the camera's close enough, it can double as an actual microphone, but generally speaking, that just gives me a good scratch track. And then we're also gonna attach a lavalier. So this is the Rode Filmmaker, wireless Filmmaker system, Rode Link. This is my go-to lavalier, and this is the receiver for it. So somewhere in the studio, I have the transmitter, but I don't usually keep it with the camera. I keep it with the rest of my audio stuff. But the receiver here, I like to keep on the camera, just so that it's always kind of where I need it. And we'll plug it in here, and then we're going to take our XLR to 1/8 adapter, and we'll throw that onto our audio recorder here. And that way we can record both a scratch track to the camera, but then still get our audio recorder from here. Honestly, most of the time I shoot with a boom mic. I'm shooting with a boom mic right now that's ported into a Zoom H6. But normally I would go ahead and port that boom mic into this audio recorder, record everything here, and we'd be good to go. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna attach our shoulder mount. So this lets us operate the camera on a shoulder rig. This thing is super, super nice, super convenient to have, and it just threads on the same way. You can see I've got another one of those rail system attachments there that's just threaded onto the shoulder pad, and that just slides right on there. We can lock that in, and that gives us our shoulder mount. Now, a quick note on the shoulder mount. Technically speaking, when you do a shoulder mount, really you want the center of gravity to be on your shoulder. So really, this shoulder mount should be closer to like here. But I don't have it like that, because there, right where it should be, is where my mounting plate is. And basically, I would rather have the option of being able to take it on and off the tripod really quickly, rather than having the center of gravity correct for the shoulder mount. That's just kind of a take it and leave it kind of situation. I'm giving a little to get a little in another area. So that's how I run mine, even though technically that's not the best practice and can wear on your back if you're doing it all day for sure. But to counteract that just a little bit, I do shove it forward as much as I can. And then on the back of it well, before we do that, let's go ahead and throw our handles on the front of it, and these are literally again just for the shoulder rig. So now I can actually hold it, and it works out really well to be able to hold it as a shoulder rig like that with good handles. You can also adjust these handles, so if you want them out of the way, you can fold them up. Kind of out of the way there, and you can also, if you're going to do like a low rig, you can put them up so you can hold it like this. Have a couple extra handles down there. Super nice, super versatile. Love those handles. Also just kind of helps it stay balanced when you put it down like this. So the next step here is we're gonna add some weights to the back. And this is like, I think this is 5 pounds. It might, this doesn't feel like 10 pounds. I think this is 5 pounds. And it just threads right onto the back there like that. I put it as far back on the rig as I possibly can. And the reason for that is basically, it's easy to screw on without the battery there. It shifts the center of gravity on the rig back so that it kind of compensates for how far back your shoulder mount is here. So Not totally necessary, but after a long day of shooting, you can feel it in your back if you've shifted the center of gravity back like that. So now we're just gonna take our end pieces for the rail system and thread them right onto the ends, and that just kind of keeps everything secure in case something were to come loose and slide around, it wouldn't slide all the way off the rail. All right, and just like that, we are making a lot of good progress on this thing. So slide our V-mount back on there, and we're looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and work on the monitor. This is the external monitor that I use. This is the Ninja 5. You can use this as an external recorder. Honestly, I just use it as a monitor. I have used it as a recorder before, but I just record internally because I'm a chump. So I screw this. I've got a magic arm. I know a lot of people have bad experiences with the magic arms here, but I use them because I haven't been burned by it yet. So just screw that onto the top of your handle there, and that's my monitor. I actually thread the monitor in upside down so that I can have it like this, and that gives me a little easier way to monitor the camera footage when I'm hand holding it on the shoulder rig. So now when I got it on my shoulder, you can see I don't have to like crank my head back to see this. I've just got this monitor here, and that gives me a much easier way to monitor the footage. Next, I just go with my HDMI port, and this is a 1 foot HDMI cord. You do have to kind of shove it out of the way sometimes. You could get a little longer one, but honestly, it doesn't bother me that it's a little bit in the way. But this allows me to both shoot on my shoulder, but I can also flip this guy around, and a lot of times when I'm shooting for YouTube, like shooting YouTube videos like this, it's nice to be able to flip it around and be able to actually see what I'm doing and see myself on the front of the camera, because the flip screen is blocked by all this garbage here, and if I put like a teleprompter or a matte box on top of it, there's no way I'm seeing my articulating screen back here. So definitely super nice to have that, but then you can also, of course, use it as a shoulder rig like that, or you can use it just kind of as a normal monitor and flip it around wherever you need to. So that's definitely a big one for me. Then I've got this K-Star LP battery. This is my preferred LP battery. That it's super high capacity, and I just love these batteries. So slide that right onto there to power that guy. And we're just about done with this thing. So then to power the V-mount, use the V-mount to power the camera, I've got my Sony battery to D-tap adapter here that I just plug directly into the D-tap on the battery, and then put this guy just in the battery port of the a7S3, if I can get it in there. And that'll power the battery. So last thing is the lens in the matte box. Here I've got the Sony 16-35 G Master. This is kind of a go-to lens for me between this and my Sigma 24-75. This is kind of what I shoot 90% plus of my work on, is those lenses. And then finally, I've got my matte box. So like I said, this is kind of the one thing on the rig that I don't really use and is really more for show than anything else. And honestly, most of the time when I'm shooting with it, I don't have this matte box on it because it just kind of gets in the way and I don't use it. So obviously, there's lots of good uses for matte boxes. I don't use them. It's not a personal preference. If I could get something that was a little bit nicer, like a little higher quality matte box, I probably would actually use it, but I just have cheap matte boxes and I don't use them. I don't really want to pay for a more expensive one right now. So that is the a7S3 rig. So I hope you liked it. If you have any questions about the rig, of course, drop it below. One of the biggest questions I get all the time is, why in the world do you rig out this tiny little camera like a cinema rig? Why don't you just get an FX3 or an FX9 or something like this? Like, by the time you pay for all of this, like, it's gonna cost the same as an FX6. So why didn't you just buy the FX6? Well, there's a few reasons. One is it is really nice to be able to pop this off and have a smaller rig come off the big rig. So take that monitor off or reposition it up there, and then you've got a smaller rig that you can use. So you don't always have to have it on the big rig like this. The other reason, honestly, is just when I first, I've never went into debt for any of my equipment. I never financed anything. It's just, as I've done commercial work, as I've gotten paid for being on film sets and things like that, I've reinvested that money into equipment. And so I bought the camera, and then after a while, I bought nicer lenses, and then after a while, I bought the cage for it, and then I bought the rail system, and then I bought the V-mount, and like, I just built it up over time into what it is now. So that's a big part of why I shoot the way I do. But that definitely is the case. But of course, obviously, your camera setup, having a camera rig, whether it's like this or a smaller rig, is only the first step in actually creating a film. When I first got into filmmaking, my head was bursting with ideas for movies and shows that I could make, but I had no idea how to take those ideas and turn them into actual films that looked like the movies from Hollywood that I was watching at my local theater. To be honest, like most filmmakers shooting their first films, my films at the time really sucked. Good luck trying to build a film career when your films are terribly written and look like this. That's why we built the 30-Day Filmmaking Kickstart. We not only teach you how to make your films look incredible, we walk you step by step through the process of becoming a real filmmaker and making your film ideas into actual movies that look like Hollywood quality films in just 30 days. But how do we do it? Break into the film industry in just 30 days? With a little determination and a roadmap for success, it's actually not as crazy as it sounds, even if you don't have any film equipment or contacts. Our program shows you exactly how to take one of your film ideas and make it into an actual short film that you can use to open doors in the film industry. A short film you'll be able to show in theaters and, more likely than not, win awards with. And if you follow our process, at the end of the 30 days, once you finish your short, you'll have all the knowledge, tools, and contacts you'll need to go out and shoot a feature film ready for the big screen. So if you're ready to get started and take your filmmaking career to the next level, just click on the link below for more information on the 30-Day Filmmaking Kickstart.